Leo's insights are presented to challenge, inform, and encourage you in your quest to break free from school-based approaches to education. Building upon a foundation of unschooling, we sincerely hope these insights help you to consider how education can be truly unlimited.
What's it like to have a learning challenge? That should be an easy question to answer. In fact, it is easy because there's no such thing as a standard learner any more than there is a standard person. When we consider that it is highly unlikely that anyone can learn everything and in every way, it is fair to say that everyone is challenged when it comes to learning in some way. As discussed already, the main reason that there are any learning challenges is because the school system cannot comprehend that there are folks who cannot learn within its confines. Whenever someone does not fit, he or she is declared a misfit, given a label, and medicated if required. Who are the people that make up this school system? Imagine what things would be like if it was run by tradesmen. Would there be a concern if a child could not tell a ½ inch from a 9/16 inch wrench by age 6? Would they need to be in special classes until they learn to read the wrenches? Remediation, maybe? What if the student showed no mechanical ability? Would he or she be labeled with terms like wrenchocalculia, hydrolexia, mechanophobia, or some other demeaning term that screams, "You are not normal"? What would they do with the artist? Would he or she be redirected to refine this talent so he or she could paint houses and cars instead of silly pictures on canvas? What would they do with a verbal academic learner? I'm sure some tradesmen have already come up with a few titles to describe this disorder. Okay, perhaps this is a little bizarre, but you need to understand the school system is made up of academics who have a hard time understanding how non-academics, non-verbal or disinterested or different students learn. Many of these academics cannot do anything mechanical. Do we label them as having learning challenges and send them to special classes for extra funding? I'm reminded at this point of a true story involving a young school psychologist who was telling an older mechanical technician during lunch how her job was so much more important than his. I'm not sure what precipitated this one-sided contest, but I can tell you this really happened. The academic went on about how much more training she had had, how much more money she made, as if she had a clue about the fact that the mechanic was likely making more money than she was, and how her position within the school system was so much more valuable than that of a mere tradesman who only had limited responsibility in keeping with his minimal training. Bewildered by the haughty arrogance and complicated words of the psychologist, the older technician simply looked up and said, "Honey, everybody's got a furnace." The young psychologist likely missed the simple truth of this statement as she pondered which type of learning disability with which to label this technician who was demonstrating a contempt for the school system she understood to be normal. I knew this technician, and he was a smart man. He had instructed in trade school for years but found it too restrictive. He wanted to fix things for people, and he was good at it, so he ended up starting his own heating business. There was hardly anything wrong with his ability to learn. It was just that he learned differently from the young psychologist and was obviously interested in different things. Aside from labeling him as a hands-on learner, he was hardly learning challenged as perceived by someone who could not comprehend his world. I should mention that He also had a label for the psychologist when he told me this story, and it would not be appropriate for me to repeat it here. However, I can tell you it was likely the more accurate of the two. School educators believe we are all blank slates that should be able to learn and do everything. Actually, that is not entirely true, but since they have little personal understanding of the individual child's true makeup outside of the system, they must prepare everyone for everything. So if a child is not endowed with math sense, he or she has to be fixed to be able to do math, in case math is part of the child's future. But this makes no sense at all. No one enjoys doing something they don't like. Duh. Math challenged people will not end up working in a math-intensive occupation. Even then, just because they cannot do algebra does not mean they cannot work as accountants. There is no doubt that there are children born with inabilities. But are we not all challenged in some way? There are very few people who are good at everything. Nearly everyone struggles with something. Most simply make the adjustment necessary to live with their handicap, usually by avoiding the challenging activity. I'm not saying that we should do nothing to help individuals improve in areas of weakness, especially when it comes to life skills of reading, writing, arithmetic, and modern computer skills. Still, there will always be those who will avoid doing things they do not do well. We would be silly to believe that everyone is going to be good at everything. Not everyone, for instance, will be a good reader or enjoy reading. Yet, everyone should be able to read. One more thing. Considering that a lockstep school program demands that all students learn in keeping with expectations, sometimes a learning challenge has more to do with timing than ability. I personally think the majority of poor readers or non-readers were likely made to read when they were not ready. Could it be that a lot of the learning challenges actually not so much about aptitude, more about attitude, picked up from being made to do something when the student was just not ready? Next time, I'm going to share a few more stories about my experience with special needs. You may be surprised to learn that most of the students were not challenged at all.
We trust you were blessed by today's presentation. For more helpful information to guide you in your home education journey, please visit educationunlimited.ca and leogaumont.com. Be sure to like us and share us on Facebook.